Hello, friends. I'm Sofia Dorinskaya, a doctor and head of the Center for Medical Information. As you know, in our center, we help people eliminate nutrient deficiencies using a special method and a bit of magic. And the unusual thing about what we do is that even now, after working for 11 years, people still ask, which vitamin tests do I need to take? My friends, you don't need to take any vitamin tests because they're not informative. As you may or may not know, we've collected a very large library of real medical data on vitamins and nutrient deficiencies. And I have to say that almost the entire Soviet period, when Soviet medicine existed, scientists, doctors, academicians, entire scientific institutes, and medical departments were engaged in the study of human nutrition, nutrient deficiencies, the impact of nutrient deficiencies on a person's condition and their health, and, believe me, all people age 60-65 who participated in studies, research teams, they wanted to find a very simple way to detect nutrient deficiencies. It's actually very simple. You get your test done, and the whole picture of a person's life is right in front of you. It's clear what to do, clear where to go, clear what to add, and clear what to reduce. And, our predecessors, they weren't idiots either. Everyone wants everything to be simple, everything at once. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter what research they did, no matter what experiments they conducted, in the end, they came to the conclusion that it's impossible to do any tests for vitamin deficiencies. There are some indicators of the body's saturation with vitamin C. This includes things like determining vitamin C in urine, how long after certain doses of vitamin C it starts to appear, and in this way, it's considered that the body is saturated with vitamin C. But that doesn't change the fact that Singai has passed. You understand? It's just a brief moment. Because vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, any excess is excreted in the urine within a few hours, and it is stored in small amounts in the adrenal glands, in the wall of the gastrointestinal tract, and in the wall of the intestine. And these ones, and it is always being used up. It is used up a lot. It is used up every day. It is used up every minute. It is used up every second, this vitamin C. So the fact that, well, vitamin C was released, well, here's a specific dose. The body took as much as it needed. It was released, well, basically, that doesn't mean anything. The only thing. I read a report at the conference in 39. They had people with leukemia and people with leukemia. They couldn't saturate them with vitamin C, no matter how much vitamin C they were given. They couldn't get these people to start excreting vitamin C in their urine. Unfortunately, since this is a small, sort of conference abstract, there is no full report. As you can understand, it was 1939. So, I think this was the Odessa Medical Institute, a department in some institute or their clinical department in one of the hospitals. We don't know what doses they gave, how long they administered them, or what kind of accompanying diet these people had. It was 1939. I doubt they could provide much meat there, but still, nevertheless, the observation that people with leukemia, for some reason, their bodies don't get saturated with vitamin C. No further research was conducted. Either they have an increased breakdown of some kind of vitamin C in the body, or such a catastrophic deficiency of vitamin C. Whether this is the basis, the platform, the foundation of leukemia is unclear. No one has investigated this further. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because it doesn't matter anyway. Questions about taking vitamins keep coming up. I'm saying this because our method is not based on tests, specifically for vitamins, because there's no point in them. The entire academic community, all the scientific and medical minds of people who have worked on this problem, have come to the conclusion that only knowledge of the manifestations of nutrient deficiencies guarantees that you will detect them. You know what needs to be given, and you know the criteria for when the body starts to become saturated and gets rid of the deficient, unhealthy state. That is why, when you come to us and when you say, I want to learn about my nutrient deficiencies, what tests do I need to take? You can take any test you want, but it will just be a waste of money and there is no point in it. We don't need those tests. We need all your other medical documents, your test results, how your doctors are treating you, your prescriptions. That's what we need, yes. And specifically on this topic, specifically about vitamins and minerals, all of that is completely uninformative and only reflects symptoms. That's exactly why we can address nutrient deficiencies. And those who don't do this can't address them. It's easy, simple, and clear. So today, I would like to talk to you about nicotinic acid, because questions about redness from nicotinic acid keep coming and coming and coming, and for some reason, I feel like they will never end, because new people keep coming. By the way, thank you so much for the new subscriptions and views on the channel. And again, the question comes up, why is there redness? Am I taking a sufficient dose, or is it not enough? I take the dose and haven't had any redness. I used to, but now I don't. Or maybe I never did. So how am I supposed to figure this out myself? Let's take a look at this point. What is the main function of nicotinic acid? Nicotinic acid is one of the key components for the functioning of the human body. That's why I think you've heard that in the Soviet Union. Krasnelia, Krasnelia, Krasnelia. Krasnelia, 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 Krasnelia. Krasnelia, Krasnelia, Krasnelia. Krasnelia did it like this. One of the things is, while I was drawing, this is like a person's life path. Yes, here is where he once started, and here he lives his life. One of the jobs that nicotinic acid does in the human body, as it has been established, is that it frees our body from radiation exposure. Any kind. You should clearly understand that we live on planet Earth, and there is always a background level of radiation. Therefore, even here, to say that there are people with no deficiency of nicotinic acid to a greater or lesser extent is an incorrect statement, unless, of course, this person is constantly taking some amount of nicotinic acid on a regular basis. That is, we are always under exposure, under radiation exposure, and always our body receives a certain dose of radiation. And this is a factor, in addition to all the others. There are also many other mechanisms for the development of niacin deficiency, but this factor is constantly present in our lives. It always means that our bodies will have a deficiency of niacin because it gets used up. Because we are always living with some level of radiation background, to a greater or lesser extent. So, our bodies, besides living in a constant background, also experience certain events. Subtitles, we have a person living here, yes. And here he received some additional exposure, went for an X-ray. Here he had a tomography, and here's something else. And here. Well, not a solar prominence, right? like a solar storm, but some large dose of radiation reached the Earth, and it actually affected you. So these waves of radiation, they line up. They're not all piled up together. It's not a pile of garbage. These are specific events that are arranged along the timeline of a person's life. These are specific events. And so you take a dose of nicotinic acid, and you don't get any redness. Well, there's no redness. Besides redness, there can be completely different reactions as well. You might get a headache, you might feel dizzy, or you might have some tingling, I don't know, maybe in your limbs. Maybe your hands or feet might start to itch. At some point, yes, there might be some local redness, like a joint turning red. So these are signs of a deficiency of nicotinic acid and how nicotinic acid works in general. There are a lot of them, but here you are taking nicotinic acid, and you don't flush at first, and then suddenly you do flush on the same dose. That means your body has dealt with some moment of radiation exposure. You might be able to realize it, you might remember it, because it's absolutely certain. If you came back from a summer vacation and were sunbathing, then for some time, when you flush, your swimsuit lines will show. And by the way, yes, your tan will fade faster. The last thing, there's nothing scary about it. Your body is getting rid of the radiation you received. Do you basically understand that? Right now, I have solar radiation comes out when I was sunbathing somewhere under the sun. But if you, for example, received radiation from some kind of medical procedure, you might have a square from an X-ray. Yes, that happens too. You immediately understand. Yes, that's what's happening right now. Then again, you don't have any redness. Then again, you get redness. And you'll ask me, how do you know? How often does it happen? I don't know. It's impossible, as it's the unique life of an organism in unique conditions. Somewhere a person lives where the radiation background is higher. Somewhere else a person lives where the radiation background is lower. Somewhere a person regularly goes for some medical procedures. And somewhere else a person doesn't need that at all. It's impossible to predict when the redness will occur. The only thing is, people are afraid that I'm taking some kind of wrong nicotinic acid. The medication is called nicotinic acid. The other name is neocin. Now, maybe in our time, pharmaceutical companies, they need to come up with something there. I don't know. They might call it neocin, but put nicotinamide in it, for example. I suspect that this could happen. Read the ingredients if you need redness. It's the redness that indicates radiation is coming out of us. And by the way, it's specifically the redness. Thanks to the redness, our capillary system expands, and nutrients and hormones reach the areas of stagnation in the body. So this redness is actually a good thing, and there's nothing terrible about a person turning red. Not at all. Read the ingredients. You specifically need nicotinic acid. But I want to tell you that there are now such medications with slow release. So statistics show that these are bad medications. These are the wrong medications because this is a slow-release nicotinic acid medication, and there is also a slow-release vitamin C. It's made in such a way that they actually destroy the very vitamin they're supposed to release slowly. Moreover, they even destroy the vitamin that's already in your body, in addition to the one you're taking. How was this discovered? It was found out through repeat tests on clients who were taking slow-release supplements. Their deficiency actually worsened in follow-up tests, so the medication doesn't work, and we haven't been using it for many years. This became clear literally in the first few months, and we stopped using slow-release medications a long time ago. So you should take the regular, plain version, without any gimmicks, without any additives, just nicotinic acid, immediate release. No combinations, nothing else, just nicotinic acid. When you experience redness, no one knows that. If you get redness, just keep taking the same dose. The redness will go away, and you'll see that you won't have redness anymore. No, if you raise the dose a lot, the redness will simply be due to the higher dose. A large dose for the body. But if you consistently take your 100, 150, 200 milligrams, 300 milligrams of this nicotinic acid, well, you just keep taking it, taking it, taking it. And then suddenly, you get some redness. And then for several months, there's no redness at all. Well, something came out. Something in the body's memory. Some situation where the body was exposed to serious radiation, when the body was actually damaged. Because radiation destroys the body. Well, that's it. The situation is resolved. You can consider it done. And please don't forget, vitamins only work in the presence of meat. Meat! A person should eat at least 850 grams of the finished product per day. At least 800, but more is better. When you reach a kilogram here, consider yourselves really great. And basically, besides meat, you can add some cheap flavorings, but that's not essential. The main food that a person should eat is meat. Meat is the main product. If you need any help with addressing deficiencies, and as you understand, as we discussed today, there are no people on planet Earth who don't have deficiencies to a greater or lesser extent, to a greater or lesser degree. You see, when people tell me, "Oh, he's so rich, she's so rich, she can't have scurvy," I'm sorry, but scurvy isn't about your wallet. The mechanism of developing scurvy is the same for both the rich and the poor. Naturally, a wealthy person can afford better nutrition. A person with finances, yes. Someone without, well, basically, the problem of hunger hasn't gone away. You still have to feed yourself. It's your responsibility and duty to eat well. Right, but basically, everyone on the planet is lacking something. Another thing is that deficiencies should be properly addressed just once in your lifetime. One fix is enough. It's very rare, extremely rare, when a person comes in with some other symptoms, but their situation is completely different, a deficiency picture. So we can say that some specific deficiency configuration has been resolved, but the person still has some other deficiency configuration. I won't go into details now, but I call this a deficiency configuration since the person's test results are identical. If you look at our website, there are some cases presented there, as well as schemes for eliminating deficiencies. So, a person never has this situation. When they have completed the program, we can create their scheme for eliminating deficiencies. If they don't go through it again, the picture is never the same. It's always different. That means we're dealing with some other situation that needs to be resolved. But the truth is, if the problem is resolved, I don't know about the continuation. I'm talking about the crew. It numbs the spine and doesn't fit or circulate. Those effective actions with his last recommendation, where it was told to him, written, explained. To maintain these successful actions that preserve his health. The only exception is if some situations occur, like severe hypothermia or some kind of poisoning. Well, you know, something like the Titanic sinking, and he spent who knows how long in that icy water. They pulled him out, and now it's necessary. Yes, it was stressful, and the body lost a lot, or had some similar treatment. Wow, something really intense happened there too then. So of course you need to come and fix that. But usually, the second time it all happens faster and easier. So basically, you only need to do this once in your life, and that's it. And basically, you're happy, restored, and you can move on and live your best life. Thank you for your attention. We're working and waiting for you. Come visit us.